I really wanted to be able to write a piece of music that was identifiable to myself as well as anyone else. And there's not a lot of affronts to my personal social justice that I encounter. I mean, I'm a pretty privileged person, so it was kind of a challenge to be asked to participate in this project because I really wanted to do something that would be meaningful. So I chose to write about homelessness because it's something that I see all the time, every day, and so does anyone who lives here. And it's something I've been really troubled by since moving here a few years ago because it's something that when you're not in that position, when you're on the side of the interaction where you're the person who's kind of just going about their day and who does not have to worry about where they're sleeping that night or what they're eating that day. It doesn't seem like there's much you can do to engage with the person who is in that position, and what most people resort to is just brushing by it. So I wanted to learn more about the issue and think more about meaningful ways in which people could address that. So the bulk of the piece is one melody, which is kind of cheerful and upbeat, but a little bit crooked. And it repeats over and over, and it's accompanied different ways each time. And sometimes it's warped a little bit and shifted in certain ways. And my goal with that was to have listeners become really familiar with that melody. And over the course of the piece, you hear it over and over again until you know how it goes. And as that's happened, bits of it begin to be cut away. So the piece ends with these fragments of the melody kind of flashing through amid silence. And I chose to do that because I was reflecting on we either consciously or unconsciously make the choice to normalize something that we see and see it as benign as possible a thing, when in reality it's not benign. This safety mechanism of seeing something that's distressing as okay and normal, to the extent where we can go about our day without having to directly engage with it. Chose to call the piece Settle because the multiple meanings of that word I thought were all appropriate for this scenario. There's one section of the piece which is kind of a musical depiction of those villages that you'll see sometimes by the highway. There's a lot of them under the overpasses around Baltimore where people will set up tents. That's where they live. I was imagining what spending a night in that kind of settlement would be like, where you really can't settle down. You're constantly having to protect yourself, and there's constant disruption. I was thinking about settling for a place like that versus actually being able to settle down the way we all dream of doing in a home. There's several organizations in Baltimore that I'm familiar with. There's Healthcare for the Homeless. It provides a lot of resources, and you can volunteer, you can donate. Some other local ones which I've been involved with before are My Sister's Place, which is a women's shelter, and the Baltimore Station, which serves veterans who are homeless, and the Helping Up Mission, which is for men who have addiction problems. It's really from organizations like that that the most support is provided. There's not a lot available from the city itself, so volunteering either time or money to those organizations is a good place to start, I think. My foremost hope is that hearing this piece of music in some way can encourage people to see people who are suffering from homelessness as people like them, and to not just ignore them, even if they can't give money, to treat them like humans.